The United States Navy projects a complete self-reliance in warship construction, but its modern programs tell a far more pragmatic story. The true strategy is not to import finished warships, but to select proven hull forms and naval architecture from allies, then radically rebuild them around American combat systems and survivability standards. This process of Americanization means stripping a foreign design of its original combat identity and re-engineering it around the AEGIS combat system, American radars, and a uniquely demanding damage control philosophy. The resulting vessels may superficially resemble their foreign cousins, yet they are fundamentally heavier, more complex, and far more expensive fighting machines. This evolution is nowhere more evident in the frigate, littoral combat ship, and auxiliary programs now shaping the fleet. To understand why the Americanization of FREMM became so tortured, one must first understand that the FREMM family was never a single ship. The Franco-Italian program produced three distinct design philosophies, each optimized for a different operational reality. The Italian ASW variant was the Specialized Submarine Hunter, fitted with both a hull-mounted sonar and the powerful Captus 4-towed variable depth sonar, triple torpedo cubes, and the SLAT anti-torpedo system, sacrificing a second forward gun for dedicated undersea warfare dominance. The Italian GP variant was the general-purpose workhorse, trading some ASW specialization for a 127mm main gun, capable of firing Vulcano-guided long-range munitions for land attack and naval gunfire support, along with a stern ramp for rigid hull inflatable boats, useful for special operations and maritime interdiction. The French ASW variant shared the anti-submarine focus, but was built around the French Navy's own combat system, sensors, and the MDCN land attack cruise missile, creating a platform tailored to Paris's independent strategic needs. The US Navy looked at all three and effectively answered none of the above. It needed a frigate that could escort carrier strike groups across the vast Pacific, survive saturation missile attacks, and plug into the AEGIS combat network that forms the nervous system of the entire fleet. The Italian GP came closest with its multi-mission flexibility, which is why Fincantiemi's proposal was selected in 2020, but the Navy was never going to accept any of these variants as is. The Constellation-class frigate is the most dramatic example of Americanization, derived directly from the Italian FREMM and its Carlo Bergamini general-purpose configuration. The US Navy chose the Fincantieri design precisely because it was a mature, low-risk, and already operational hull, a direct reaction to the experimental failures of the Littoral Combat Ship and Zumwalt-class programs. The original plan assumed roughly 85% commonality with the parent design, but reality inverted that figure as the Navy imposed its own requirements. The hull was stretched nearly 24 feet longer and over 3.5 feet wider to accommodate larger American systems, and the entire propulsion plant was changed to a new code lag arrangement with a General Electric LM2500 plus G4 gas turbine driving fixed pitch propellers instead of the original controllable pitch ones. The ship received the AN/SPY-6V3 Enterprise Air Surveillance Radar, the Combat SS-21 Combat Management System derived from AEGIS Baseline 10, and a larger 32-cell Mk-41 vertical launch system in place of the Italian Silver launchers, forcing a complete redesign of the topside and internal power architecture. The addition of American shock hardening standards, enhanced survivability, and significantly greater electrical cooling capacity caused displacement to grow far beyond the original 6,700-ton FREMM to over 7,200 tons. What was meant to be a quick, cost-effective frigate procurement became a protracted exercise in requirement creep, resulting in severe delays and an eventual decision to cap the class at only 2 ships. The Independence-class littoral combat ship represents a different path of Americanization where a foreign commercial concept was militarized from the ground up. The ship's unique aluminum trimaran hull form and wave-piercing architecture trace their lineage not to a Pentagon laboratory, but to the Austal-built high-speed ferry Benchihigua Express, operating in the Canary Islands. The U.S. Navy adopted this lightweight, high-speed design philosophy to fulfill its vision of a fast, agile, reconfigurable combatant for shallow littoral waters. The Americanization process involved transforming a civilian ferry platform into a warship capable of carrying modular mission packages for mine warfare, surface warfare, or anti-submarine operations. This required the integration of a military combat management system, defensive weapons, and compliance with U.S. Navy damage control and stability standards while preserving the high sprint speed. Though its modular mission concept proved controversial, the Independence-class showcased a successful transfer of foreign industrial shipbuilding methodology into the American defense industrial base, with Austal establishing a major manufacturing presence in Mobile, Alabama. The Americanization of design thinking is not limited to frontline combatants. It also quietly underpins the logistics backbone of the fleet. The John Lewis-class Fleet Replenishment Oiler TAO-205 is an American-designed vessel built by General Dynamics NASSCO, but its construction philosophy heavily reflects modern commercial tanker practices that have become global standards. Because the world's commercial tanker fleet has been dominated for decades by East Asian shipyards, the double-hull design, block construction methods, and automated panel line efficiency that define the John Lewis class align with those proven international benchmarks. Since auxiliary support ships do not require the extreme shock hardening or complex combat systems of a destroyer, the Navy deliberately adopted commercial classification society rules rather than full military survivability standards. This is a conscious strategic decision, recognizing that the U.S. cannot afford to build every logistics hull to the same survivability level as a warship, especially when planning for a high attrition conflict in the Pacific. The Americanization here is subtle. It is the absorption of a global industrial culture of efficiency to produce a hull that is then fitted with American refueling rigs, communication suites, and self-defense systems. The United States Coast Guard's Heritage-class offshore patrol cutter also reflects an intellectual debt to European naval architecture, even though it is not a direct copy of any single foreign design. For decades, European shipyards have dominated the market for efficient, heavily automated offshore patrol vessels designed for long-endurance, low-intensity maritime security missions. The OPC program adopted this broader operational philosophy, prioritizing a modern, economical hull capable of counter-smuggling, fisheries enforcement, and search and rescue without the heavy combat systems of a full frigate. The Americanization of this concept involved integrating a specific C4 SIRS suite, ensuring interoperability with Navy networks, and building the vessel to withstand the demands of operations in hurricane-prone regions. While no single European parent design was licensed, the OPC's emphasis on a smaller crew, greater fuel efficiency, and a modular mission bay mirrors the operational wisdom American planners absorbed from studying European patrol fleets. This represents a shift away from the old American tendency to over-engineer every platform, accepting that a vessel that is merely good enough can be strategically invaluable if it can be built in meaningful numbers. The common thread connecting all these ships is a cold-eyed recognition that American naval supremacy is threatened not by a lack of design talent, but by a slow, fragile, and undercapacity shipbuilding industry. By starting with a foreign parent design or proven commercial philosophy, the Navy aims to skip the risky decade-long preliminary design phase and move more rapidly into production. The act of Americanization is the inevitable, painful phase where the mature foreign concept is forced to adapt to the unyielding requirements of the American way of war, including total integration of the AEGIS combat system, extreme survivability standards, and a culture that demands every cubic meter of a ship be filled with a specific military purpose. This is where programmatic schedules often break, revealing that the hardest part of shipbuilding is not the steel and pipe, but the management of requirements. There is a deep irony in this process. The very advantages of the foreign design, simplicity, cost discipline, and swift construction are often partially erased by the weight of American military specifications. Ultimately, the Americanization model seeks to separate the hull, which can be treated as a commodity built to global efficiency standards, from the combat system, which remains the sacred, sovereign core of American naval power, creating a hybrid warship that is a foreign body with an American soul.